What's up, human? Welcome to Maya. Um, Obviously, main thing you're going to need to know is how to control your camera. If you hold Alt and use your left click, you can orbit around what the camera's focusing on. If you hold Alt and press your middle mouse button, you can change where the camera's focusing on. And if you hold Alt and move your, or rather hold your right mouse button, you can zoom in and zoom out. Um, if you have an object and you are lost somewhere off in the fucking distance, then you can quickly get back by clicking F after you have selected that object. Why the fuck is it on face select? What the fuck's going on with this shit? Oh, it must be a nerb. Anyways, I'm gonna have to create something else so I can quickly show you some other shit. If you want to select an individual vertex and frame that selection, you can do the same thing. It'll zoom right in on that shit. And I guess that's it for the view for 3D at least. If you want to switch between your views, like the top view, or yeah, top, front, back, right, etc., tap space while you're over there, and it will show you your views. Click space on another view, and it will zoom in on there. Holding space will bring up this giant weird ass menu. This menu can be used for just about everything. I use it for creating mostly, obviously. You should always click these fucking buttons, like the box thing to the right of shit, because that will always bring up a dialog box on how to create the object, and you can choose how many cuts there are in each object, etc. Another thing you should be worried about is this axes thing. The default axes for everything in generally almost any fucking 3D modeling program is Y. Why? I don't know. Probably because they're retarded or something. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Because X and Y is what they've used forever for 2D, so Z would only make sense for the third coordinate. Anyways, when creating shit, you should always have Z as the up coordinate, otherwise the move up shit will be sideways and everything. Might not affect the game, I'm not sure, but in the game it will matter, like that the actual model is set to Z. And how to set that is, you will go to Window, Settings, Preferences, and then Settings on the left. Click Z right there for up. Another thing you might want to do is fuck off, Maya. If you want to fuck with your grid, as you can see, my grid is definitely not default, and that's because every grid point is actually 0.5 of a grid point, like half. So there's like twice as much detail, I guess you could say, even though a whole grid point is like infinitely detailed in modeling, as you may know. To change your grid, or rather to show your grid, you can turn it off right there, so that you don't even have to see it at all. Kind of lose orientation when that shit's going on though. If you want to change what it looks like, go to display and then click the little checkbox here. Here you can see how I have it's going 32 units and there are 64 cuts between that 32 units. So that makes it 0.5 for the grid points. One thing you will definitely need to know, when you have an object selected, W, E, and R switch between your modifier tools, your main modifier tools. W being move, or translate as they call it, E being rotate, and R being scale. When you are using these tools, you can either move it along one axis, you can move it from all three axes based on the camera you're using, i.e. I'm on 3D, so it's moving it based on how I'm looking at it, even though it doesn't really look like it is, because it's moving it off into the distance down there. Anyways, and the third choice is if you hold Control and move one of these, then it will only move on the other two axes. So right now it's moving like along the floor, if you know what I mean, like hovering, and not going up or down. um, One of the things you'll there that's most useful with modifying tools. Let my cigarette go because I'm on a fucking rant. Fucking, if you click insert, brings up your pivot modifying tool, which is, this is the center of where the modifier tool is effect. Not so much effective on the move tool or translate tool, but it's very effective on the rotate and scale tool. So if I move this, I can move it the same way as you use the move shit. But I don't really want it to be all inaccurate, and like if I want to try and get it right along that bottom part, it's gonna be like, oh man, I can't get it all perfect and shit. Maya made everything super easy because if you hold V, then you can just move it to one of the vertexes. I don't know if you can see it right here, but it's literally like I'm moving it on the Z axis and I'm snapping it to the vertexes. You can also move the entire thing and snap it to the vertex. You have to click insert instantly after you finish doing some of this shit. One thing I should also show you, sorry. V, holding V to snap to vertexes isn't the only thing you can do. You can also hold to X to snap to the grid. It's moving a half a grid point, or well, a grid point every time that it's moving. But it looks like it's not because it's under the fucking floor. I'll move it to the floor just so you can see. Alright, but yeah, the modifier tool, obviously, on translate, it's not really doing much that grid point thing's down there. But if I rotate it, you'll be able to see it's rotating right on that point. And the scale tool will scale right on that point. So I can scale it like it's a fucking building, and where that shit's going up in the sky. Yeah, I'm gonna stop tripping out with that. I guess I'll move on to the next subject. You're going to be working with planes, so there's a couple things you're going to come into. First thing I usually do when I create an object is move it to the origin, depending on what the fuck I'm doing. Mainly the first object. I don't think I'd do it with anything else. I don't want this here. I keep all my shit on my other monitor, so I got like maximum editing space going on. When you need to, how would I say this? When you need to merge some shit and you need it to like go into like a triangle, like have the edge come down and then like kind of smear back into itself and not have as many faces further down. What you'll do, select a bunch of the vertexes here, and then you don't have to move the pivot tool because since they're on a line, it's good. You may have to individually move them like this, holding V right now. But you can just do them all at the same time, make it a lot easier if they're on a straight line. It all depends. And then after you got them moved into there, technically there is some geometry in there that still exists to the coding of this model. But to fix that, you will select those vertexes. Technically you can select anything you want. I'm just going to select it all here just so I can show you. Go to Edit Mesh and then go to Merge. I explained to you before, I don't know if you remember. What this does is it merges any vertexes that are inside of each other. I'm going to click the checkbox little here so I can show you what it actually does. It actually merges vertexes 1/100th of a unit that are close together. You can put it smaller, but in general you're never going to have shit that's that close. So after you click merge here, boom, that's just one vertex now. And the way to tell is to click it once, not use the drag box, and then move it. Then you can see that there's nothing hidden under there. There's no vertex still hiding there, just floating. Alright. Another thing you're going to need to do, fuck off, Maya, um, is, I'm going to create the same thing. One sec. You can probably see right now how my shit is rotating like snapping. Oops, I didn't mean to click Control Z twice. One sec. Gotta move my shit over. Right here it says 15. That's 15 degrees. The top of your rotate setting, or yeah, rotate settings, discrete rotate, this button right here. If you want it to do the whole snappy thing, then you'll check that on. If you don't, then you'll have it unchecked. It is unchecked by default, but I use it because I don't know, I use it for a lot of things. I'm just so used to it from fucking video game editing, I guess. It's also a lot easier to get a fucking 90-degree angle perfect. Anyways, you're gonna have to connect objects, obviously, because you're gonna have like a million fucking planes. And to do this correctly, you will do the following. As you can see right now, my pivot is under here. I meant to describe this to you earlier, but I forgot. If your pivot is off in the middle of nowhere and you don't want to try and just put it like on one of the vertexes, one of the things you can do is click modify and then center pivot. I'm going to move this down, but for now I'm actually going to fuck with this for a second just so I can show you something else and make it a little bit more confusing to connect it. When you have vertexes selected, you can obviously move them and slowly like select more vertexes and then move them to get like a general curve going on, like the curves that you're looking for in the backs of the car or anything like that. An easier way to do it, although it can be inaccurate, is to use this thing called soft select. Soft select is the most useful thing for doing anything that looks smooth generally. This thing controls how, this graph rather, controls how it affects the fall off. And I'll show you what it's doing right now. You can see it's like affecting the ones that are selected the most and gradiently, smoothly affecting the other ones less and less and less. You can have it as any of these things. This is like, I think this is actually the default one, which does straight lines. But the fall off volume is in units, and I don't know if the default volume or the default fall off mode is volume, but surface, it actually goes like follows the surface instead of doing it in a like from all these selected things. It does like a circular radius thing, you know what I mean? Instead of that, it would actually follow here, and if it was like a rotating object and it went further than 4 units in actual distance, then it wouldn't affect them. Anyways, I gotta do this shit. I'm gonna do this one. These are still flat because when you're using this, since all those ones are selected, those are all getting moved without smoothing. Like as if I would be moving them without the soft select thing on. If I had deselected, if I only selected like specific ones, then it would be all bent and crooked and weird. You can also obviously get your, oh shit, I closed one of my things. Journal editors, attribute editor, where the fuck are you? Alright, I always miss that one. Oh no, that's not the one. No. I don't have my tool settings. Where the fuck is that shit? I am blind as fuck. How do I forget how to fucking get to this shit? Jesus H. Christ. Sorry for that stall. Although Maya is an amazing program, some things are still so retarded as fuck. Sorry, I just drank a shitload of Coke. Um, what I was looking for was here. Uh, this right here. I don't know why the fuck. Like, see the attribute editor that's like checked? That's on my other monitor, and I can turn it on by doing it through right there by clicking that. But the tool settings are not in this fucking window at all. They're only right here. That's kind of retarded. And now I gotta move it to my other monitor and make it bigger again. Annoying. Alright, that looks like it's gonna be pretty annoying to connect that. I may even be pissed at myself for doing that. But anyways, I'm gonna take the grid off for now because I don't need it. I'm gonna try and get the same kind of effect going with that shit that I just did, but that is probably not going to happen. Regardless, they still have a good general curve going on. That's all I was really looking for. And this will probably fuck everything up a little bit, but I'm going to do it. Oh, fuck that. Alright, what I'm gonna do here is get this stupid soft select thingy off and get everything back to fucking normal. Now, go into vertex edit tool, and I know it looked like I was just in that, but I like resetting everything. Now, I'm going to be using translate this whole time, selecting individual vertexes and snapping them right to the ones on the other thing. I know it looks like these fuckers aren't moving. Here, I'll frame this one just so you can actually see it a bit closer. I'm actually going to do something else with that before I do that. I'm going to select all those ones, change the pivot tool to this motherfucker right here, and then I'm going to move him with the vertex tool over that way. Oh, that surprisingly looked pretty good. Anyways, I still have to select it individually to snap it to that fucker. Stop move, I know you did. Whoa, didn't mean to click that. Oops. Way too fucking zoomed in on this shit. And if you forgot, I am holding V while moving them so that they snap to those vertexes. Alright, now, they're generally connected, right? And it looks kind of cool, whatever. Not like cool, but I mean it looks normal, right? Like, looks normal, but it's not yet. These objects are connected, but they're not. As you can see, they're two separate objects. I'm going to center the pivot on this motherfucker. Even though it's not going to matter in 2 fucking seconds. When you want to create some, or connect some objects, you'll have to select both of them, hold one, or sorry, click one, and then hold shift, and click on the other one. Now, go to mesh, and then combine. That will make them one editable object, right? But they're still separate in geometry, in the sense of, if I select this face right here, you can see that shit is not connected. They're connected so that if you move the whole object together, it will move together, and shit like that. And if I selected the faces together, then yes, they would move together. But this is not what you want for video games. You want to finish it off. And what you want to do that is to do the merge thing, like we did before when I did this part, if you remember. So go back to Vertex Tool, select all the vertexes, and I'll zoom in here so you can watch the difference happen. When I click Edit Mesh, and then Merge, oh, and you didn't see anything happen. That's because this edge is actually hard, surprisingly. But if I collect this face, move it up, they're actually one object, and I'll show you what I mean, or what I expected to happen a couple seconds ago. If you didn't just notice that I selected a bunch of edges without having to actually click them all. If you double click one, it will actually follow, but it's never perfect. Never. Alright. Right now this is a hard edge, and a hard edge will make it look like, as you can see, the lighting on this one does not smooth into this one, as this curve right here. You can see the lighting smooth clearly. You can't see these fucking bulky edges. Anyways, if you click normals at the top, you can choose soften edge, and that will soften the edge. This can affect things in many different ways. The main thing is make sure that all your edges line up at the end like we were talking about before, and it should look good. Seems alright for a pretty fucking ugly, bulky, random piece of shit object with a direct 45-degree angle and a wall. And anyways, now that shit is perma good. So if you can do that to all of your connecting shit, then your model will all be one file, will all be one object, and will all be workable in a game with smoothing, etc. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this easily, but I'll try to. I have one edge selected right now, as you can see, and I'm going to go to the normal thing and then vertex normal edit tool. Yeah, I figured I would do that. See these green lines? I was trying to make it easier so you could actually see the ones that I'm trying to point out. These ones pointing out at a 45-degree angle here. Since I can't fucking see them, I'm gonna connect these ones, or select these ones. I can't even talk right now because I'm so fucked up. Excuse me. If you set this to a hard edge, watch the green lines that are coming off of these. Oh, what the fuck, it turned it off in normal edit tool. Now, instead of being 45-degree angles, there are two lines, right? And that's the lines of which the light hits the shit at. Why can't it fucking just stay in vertex edit tool? What the fuck? Alright, there you go. Man, that's annoying to look at. You never really have to look at this shit other than make sure the lines are facing out, or at least facing the way that you want to see the object from, because right now you can see the object from both faces, but it never renders from the face that the normals are not pointing out of. That is called a back face. This is the front face, that is the back face. And you always want your normals pointing out on models. That's the main key thing, because it will be completely invisible and you'll see the textures from the other side through it if the normals are all facing in. What else could be useful? First of all, how to get off of normal edit tool. Click this button. I guess I could show you how to use the soft select tool in another way. Whoa, that was not the selection that I was looking for. These are not the droids you're looking for. That's the selection I'm looking for. Alright, I'm going to go into rotate tool and move my pivot. This is going to create some funky shit, by the way. But on top of moving my pivot, I'm going to turn soft select on. You can use soft select with literally almost any modifier tool, which is pretty fucking crazy. But yeah. When you turn soft select on, I forgot you have to do the move your pivot thing again. Fucking annoying. Fucking son of a bitch. Oh yeah, the cool thing about Maya, when you click Control Z, it actually will, it saves like your selections. So if you fuck up your selection, you can click Control Z and it fucking instantly selects what you had before. So good. Alright, now you can see my pivot's over here. I got soft select on. What the fuck is gonna happen? I'm only gonna rotate it around the green axes, so it kinda looks normal. As you can see, you can get some weird ass shapes going on, and it's a lot easier than individually moving all those things all on their own. It's a lot fucking easier. And I've thought of some weird ass ways, just like when trying to create things, to use the rotate tool and soft select, and you can create like anything with it, man. Like literally anything. I know I'm fucking ranting at this point because I already did all these videos already once, and the audio didn't work. Seems to be the issue that I have every fucking time I do this, so I had to set it all back to default bullshit. Another cool tool is the bevel tool. This object is very, this line of vertexes, or lines, edges, Jesus, is a very bad place to show it on. I do not want to rotate that, so fuck off. Is that what I want? Yes, that's what I want. Alright, the bevel tool, right. Bevel, bevel, bevel. In edit mesh, bevel. I have fucked with these settings so much, so I do not know what they're on right now, but I'm going to just use it on what it's on. The default will be a lot different than what happens right now. Oh yeah, I was just looking for straight 45-degree angle cuts. This is a very easy way to, like, if you're doing a hood scoop and say this is your hood, and fuck, what am I trying to do? Getting lost in shit here, monkey. I'm sorry. I've been awake for way too long. Fuck. That would be one way of getting that whole 45-degree angle thing going on, but an easier way would be to whoa, I want that on face. Nope. In case if you need like more geometry, etc. And I don't know, honestly, like I've made models, but I've never made models for games like a professional game where they have the 5 LOD thing. Like you have to make the 5 different variations of shittiness or goodness. But I don't know if they start with the lowest and then like use what I'm about to show you afterwards, or if they start with the highest and then cut it down from there. Because cutting it down honestly seems harder in some cases than adding, just due to the fact that the textures would have to all be realigned, I guess. Or you'd have to like re-UV map that shit and it might not work. Whereas if you're adding geometry, the shit's going to be pretty much the same on the UV maps. Anyways, what I'm about to show you is if you had a shitty model, this has a lot of geometry in it, so it's not going to show as much of an effect. But if this was like a 45-degree angle cut and shit, and you wanted it to be more smooth, there is Edit Mesh Smooth. It may actually be in Mesh. Yeah, I think it's in Mesh. This is a very bad tool to use, honestly. I hate using it in all cases. I think it's default on exponentially, so I'm going to put it on this and hope to God it's on default. And click Smooth. Yes, there we go. Alright, as you can see, this shit's actually a hell of a lot smoother. And it only created 2 cuts for some reason. You'd probably wonder why this random thing's like there, but it's because it's an edge geometry, and when you're using the smooth tool, one of the settings there, actually, I'm pretty sure, I'll check. I'm pretty sure one of the settings was not to smooth the edges. Bum, 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 bum. Looking in the wrong place again. Preserve geometry borders. Fuck off. Yeah, that's it. Space car. No, 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 space car. Alright, I guess last thing I can think of. Duplicating. Select something, click Control D. Move that shit. If you want to invert it, I guess the easiest way would be to do this. No, that's a pretty bad way of doing it. Actually, I don't think that is a bad way of doing it. Fuck that. That's a good way of doing it. I'm going to do it like that from now on. Never thought of that, dude. It's pretty surprising. I'm going to turn discrete scale on, unturn, oh no, do turn relative on, put it to 1, which I think is going to instantly invert it. Fuck yeah, that's perfect scale and everything. Bum 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 bum. Now I just gotta check if the normals are normal. Fuck yeah, that's actually a surprisingly good way of inverting an object that I've never realized worked. Wow, I'm totally trying to do this the wrong way. I was just trying to like scale the shit, and I was gonna do it in the most obscene way I've ever thought of. The fuck is my problem? There you go, there's the front of your space car, and you can do the rest. I know that looks nothing like a car. I was never intending on going anywhere near looking like a car. I was just trying to show you how to do shit, but in the end I guess it kind of does look like a space car front. um, oh god, this is retarded. Don't even know why I'm continuing doing this, but I'm going to try and get like a, I don't even know how I'm going to say this with the space car shit, but a muscle car look to the front bendiness or something like that. Whoa, something sounded like it just fucking exploded outside. Fuck off, tool. Why is it doing it like that? Fuck you. Meow, 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 meow. Muscle car from space. Fucking right. Alrighty, I really can't think of anything else right now, so let me know when you can think of something else.